is Father Ryan. I'm at the Battle of Gettysburg reenactment. This is so awesome. Look at all these reenactors. They're waiting for you.
And come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand. And come running through the shallow waters, reaching for your hand.
How's your afternoon
Hello.
tea? How's the tea?
It's actually water.
Oh, water? Hot water.
Cool water.
This is you wearing a brooch?
Pardon?
You're wearing a brooch? A brooch? What do you call this?
A skirt and waist.
Oh.
Skirt and waistcoat.
And you are?
And I'm a school teacher.
Right.
I teach reading, writing, and arithmetic to the young children.
My husband's a cavalry officer.
You look very lovely today.
Thank you. You have a lovely day.
Your name?
I'm representing the 14th Brooklyn. My name is Gus. This is the 1861 Springfield. And this is my kit.
Your name?
Kirk.
Tell us.
Yeah, this is the coffee wagon
Wow.
that they developed. This is a replica of the one they had during the Civil War.
Whoa.
And here's a little brochure. The Christian Commission out of YMCA. They built this 1863. And it was at Appomattox at the end of the war.
One of the rubber bands broke.
And as the Confederates surrendered, they would hand them a cup of coffee and then shake their hand, welcome them back into the Union. So, you know, a little incentive to, 4 years without coffee. I think it would have broke me, I think.
No cappuccino, no espresso. Just
No, not really. They'd make coffee, sometimes hot cocoa. They'd do like a gruel for the hospitals, you know, for people. So.
And who owns this wagon?
This is owned by the YMCA.
Of Gettysburg?
And we lease it. No, the YMCA, we lease it from them.
Or version of sweats and a t-shirt. This is what mom would put on when you get up in the morning. You put all that underwear on.
Wow.
And then you put this over it.
Right.
Now you'll notice this does have functional buttonholes.
Right.
Mostly because you just wore this to death.
Right.
You'd be wearing it every day.
You'd wear that around your
Yeah.
house. But then when you went out,
You put that on that. And it does hook an eye up the front, the same as the other one, but it has this over thing that you snug up.
It's kind of like wearing a bathrobe around.
Kinda.
I guess the house.
Kinda. But you could make a very dressy one, and you could wear that like at home for an evening. Also, they didn't have maternity clothes, so if you were pregnant, you just
Okay. And it would get looser.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and actually, this is a very high-waisted garment. All these dresses, so
Right.
you could probably get to be about 5 or 6 months pregnant.
Right.
And still wear your regular clothes and just hike up the waist.
Right.
I've seen photographs of women and it looks like their waist is unnaturally high. They probably are pregnant.
Right. Right.
And this is a ball gown. This is silk.
Wow, it's beautiful.
It's made the same way, bodice, skirt separately sewn together. It has what this is called a lace tucker, or a tucker.
Okay.
It's cotton net, and it serves the same function as the collar. So it keeps perspiration and body oil off the dress.
Okay.
It also, you kind of snug it up in the back so that gentlemen could not look down your decolletage.
Okay.
And this has a short sleeve. And ordinarily they wore long sleeves because you do not want a suntan. No suntans.
Right.
If you had a suntan, someone might think you worked in the field. And even if you did work in the field, you don't want people to know it.
Right. Right.
So
Ladies had to keep their skin very fair.
Yep. So you wanted, that's what you wanted to do.
Much like me, but after today I will have a tan.
Yeah, well, be careful. Be careful you don't burn. Put on a lot of sunblock.
We did, yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes.
Stay hydrated, stay cool.
Having a good time at camp, send cookies. you know, that sort of thing. So the soldiers, once they got in a stable address in the winter quarters, right? They weren't moving around and campaigning. They would send letters home and say, please send me maybe some new underwear or a shirt, which was, you know, the kitchen curtains, you know, mittens or socks, right? Apple, a lot of guys were dealing with scurvy, you know, lack of vitamin C. Apples, of course, would keep for a long time. Almost every soldier was plagued with lice, so he asked for a lice comb. From the general to the private, or the dental hygiene, they might ask for a toothbrush. Anything to pass the time. People were, you know, they're sitting around, they're not actively campaigning, so they'd ask for novels, they'd ask for books, maybe song books, so they get together and sing. Maybe somebody had a banjo or something. They might even, there was a lot of revival in 1863 because, you know, these guys are facing combat. They never know what might be, right? We know so much about the Civil War based upon the diaries that the soldiers wrote, right? And so they might ask for a diary. They might ask for letter writing material, pencils. They might ask for pencils. You see, writing with this would be pointless. So they would, you know, carve a point on it, or they would ask for ink. Now I have the ink in a plastic container here, but it would be actually in a little paper pouch. They'd add it to water and there'd be a cork in there, and of course they would use a pen that would look like this, and they would write letters.
Just water but no oil?
Pardon me?
Add water but no
just
oil?
Oil, just water. That's all they had. That's all that was available. All right. Maybe extra eating utensils, little ditty bags for whatever they happen to have. They want to keep separate. This is called a housewife. Basically, it was a little sewing kit for the soldiers. They had to repair their own uniforms. Now, if a family could not afford to send something like this, maybe the entire community would get together, and one family would donate mittens, and another family might donate apples, and another family would donate some books and so forth. So the entire, because lots of times it was very common for the soldiers to be all from one community, right? And so when they got a box from home, you see, they hadn't seen these mom or their sweetheart or their wife for 2-3 years by 1863. So that's, you know, something from home. That's what this represents. We're the civilians of Gettysburg, you see. So this is what folks from home would have sent to their soldiers, during winter quarters, right? Which in 1863 was in Brandy Station down in Virginia, right? So
I want that. And so you could make it
Okay, so this is a straw hat, and then these are called, these ties tie behind your bun to keep it in place, and then these hang
And this, I love this. This is so
Stuck a pose.
well, these ties would not normally show, but then these would sort of fly around. And then if you were out working in your garden, you would wear a slatted bonnet.
Salad who?
Slatted bonnet.
Salad.
Slatted. So there are slats in here. And so what that is doing is it is keeping the sun off your face. So if I'm out working in the garden, I'm shading my face from
You
the
look like
sun.
a Catholic nun, by the way.
Yes. Yes, that brings back memories.
Memories, I hope.
Actually, yes. And then there are
Can you tell whether a woman is single or married by the way she dress or her hat or her bonnet?
No.
You can tell?
When you were young, girls are the only ones that leave their hair down. Once you put on your first corset and your dress drops to the ground, your hair is going to be up. So, and I also think that the style makes people look much older than they are. I have a friend who tells me all the time that when she sees me dressed like this, she thinks I look ancient, which is really not a nice thing to hear. But in all, the thing that's interesting about the period is people wanted to be in style. So they would look at the ladies' magazines, and when they would see the shape of a collar change or a sleeve change, they would make alterations to a dress they had to be in fashion. They would always dress to have whatever was their best. It might not be my best, but it would be her best, and she would wear that to go out.
Who were the fashionable women in those days that they look up to?
They would have been the wives of men who owned the large industries, because remember, this is the Industrial Revolution, so there are things like Goodyear, starting large companies that are mass producing goods, and they were very wealthy. So they would have been sort of the elite that everyone would follow and want to imitate.
And items of food that they had in 1860 that we have today. So we try to have a lot of different things.
see.
I'm Patty Reidenbach. I live here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This is the display of my husband, Major Thomas Reidenbach, who is the regimental surgeon for the 69th Pennsylvania, the Irish Brigade out of Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, that's where I'm from.
Nice. These are some of the tools. This is an original amputation kit that they would have used.
Original?
Yes, yes, this is an original amputation kit. Some of these tools, they use the same things today, but just powered differently. The saws, these are to put, throw a hole in the skull to relieve pressure. They do the same things today. Sheesh. This is actually a stethoscope.
Oh,
they would use.
You hear the heart.
Right, right. They had to make their own medicines.
Oh gosh.
So you would take your powders. They typically would have a hospital steward or an assistant who would mix up the powders, because of course they didn't have, CVS and Rite Aid. So they would make a paste, put that in there, and put that on there and roll out the pills here, let them dry, and then they would have the pills. They had plenty of chloroform and ether, especially in the north, because the manufacturers, the factories were up here in the north. So that's how they would put them asleep to do their amputations. They also had that in the south until about the blockade, and then it was hard for them to get chloroform and ether. So a lot of the women in the south, they would get passes to go up north to, say they're going to see a relative. They would sew pockets in their petticoats underneath, and then buy from the black market chloroform, ether, any other medical supplies, put them in the pockets underneath their petticoats.
Oh, wow.
Go back down south, because back then they would have never searched a woman.
Oh,
so, that's how
clever.
the South a lot of times would get their, a lot of their supplies after the blockade. This would have been like a travel kit for the surgeon. If they had to go away from the field hospital or whatever out in the field, they would just take, like a little kit. My husband has his other travel kit with him. He's doing the medical talk right now.
That's great. So beautiful, both of you.
Yeah, she has a cotton day dress. Barb has a sheer.
I'm wearing a sheer, which is kind of a gauze.
beautiful.
You can, it's
a gauze fabric.
It's light.
Cooler.
yes.
This one's a little heavier.
Oh boy, yeah, that's hot.
But they don't do much working, so that's
She's
why
lucky.
they look prettier. I just have work stuff because I just work.
Oh, you're burning up in here.
Yeah.
She's floating.
Yeah.
Well, and
too
that's
cool
the
for
beauty
her.
of the hoop. You just kind of sashay like this, and you get some airflow, and it's not as hot. And when the breeze flows, when there's a breeze, it keeps you cool.
But her dress would tear. She can't do much work without ripping her dress.
Can you do a dance for us? There you go. Just like Martha Washington. I love it. That's cute.
Yeah.
A variety of different kinds of jewelry and period, from black jewelry, which is very popular in this period because of Queen Victoria and the death of Prince Albert. She went into permanent mourning, and so of course she wore a lot of black jewelry, and everyone followed suit. And so black jewelry was very, very popular in the period.
1860s you're talking about?
1860 to 1865. Now some of this is a little earlier. The larger it is,
oh, so beautiful.
The earlier it might be. This is a shell cameo, probably from the 1850s. Wow. And that is carved from a shell, so you'll see different colors. They usually had, you can see the translucent of it. The shell cameos often had mythology themes. This is the goddess Nyx, or heads like this. This is a cameo that is would be actually a little bit of a less expensive cameo, because although this looks like ivory, it's actually gutta percha, which comes from a tree, and it is white naturally, but it is also dyed with lamp black. So this would have been well, not dyed exactly, but mixed with lamp black to create this color, and then the cameo attached to it. And you can see the pins on the back where it would have been attached. Yes, you would wear it just like I have one.
What do you call it?
A brooch. A brooch.
B-R-O-C-H.
Yes, that's what these are mostly. And let's see.
Is that the British thing that we adopted from as Americans?
Well, that's
a good question. I don't really know that.
Or they just composted in place.
The other things that were popular were banded agate, which is a kind of quartz. It comes in various colors, so holding it up to the light, you can see all the detail. It's called banded agate because much of it has bands on it, like this one. The other thing that's common in a brooch is the back might have a picture, or in this case, little pieces of hair from your loved ones, or a picture. I think this one, yes, this one has a picture on the back, and they flip. So if you want, you can flip it around and wear the picture on the front. This particular kind of brooch is called pietra dura, which is sort of like a mosaic. So these are individual pieces that have been fitted together to make the design. One of my favorites is piqué. This is all piqué. That's P-I-Q-U-E. This starts with a base of tortoise shell, which actually comes from a turtle, not a tortoise, and it's heated up and it's molded. And then while it's still hot, these tiny little pieces of metal are pushed into the warm tortoiseshell. And then when the tortoiseshell dries, it sort of contracts and catches the little spikes, and which is what keeps it permanent. Now you will see sometimes for sale ones where maybe one of the things has fallen out of it, because of course it's just metal. This is a dyed tortoiseshell, dyed red. This is blonde tortoiseshell, and this is also piqué. And then what is that? That's banded agate. So all of these are banded agate. That's how much variety there is. And then this one is a little bit later because it has mother of pearl in it, which was not used within period. This is interesting. It's lava. It comes from Pompeii after the volcanoes. So these are rocks, and they vary in color based on what minerals were in the ground. So they can be very green, they could be gray, but most of them are about the same sort of putty color. And then they've been carved with matching earrings.
Oh, that's expensive, volcanic rock.
Yes, and they would of course been imported because you can't get Pompeii, you can't get lava rock here. This was sort of a high-end jewelry. This is called jet, and it comes from Whitby, England, and it is mined it is chipped off the side of a cliff. This is what it looks like in its natural state, and then it is carved. This is a little bit higher end, so you would have had to have some disposable income to have a jet piece. These are jet bracelets. And then
who are the women with high disposable income? So
you would have doctors' wives, merchants' wives, anyone who was an official, like a lawyer. It's kind of hard to determine classes, but the same folks that would have had a ball gown would have had jet, but probably they're the only ones that would have. Of course, people loved jet but couldn't afford it, so that's when the use of glass came in. So this is glass. All of these are glass, and they are to imitate jet. They would have been much less expensive and more accessible to those with more of a moderate income.
What are some events that they can wear these with the ball gowns?
So there were lots of dances. They weren't all balls. People would have gatherings at their homes, and they would just, everybody danced. Everybody knew the dances, and
Can you do a demonstration of the dance?
No, but there's going to be a demonstration later. We do dance. There's very, do you know American square dancing? Have you ever seen American square dancing? It's done with two couples facing two couples, and then two couples, and it makes a square. That's why it's called square dancing. And then you do things with across, and that a lot of it is it's called a quadrille in period. And so those are the common dances. They did waltz, and they also did a lot of line dances where men were facing women, or two couples were facing two couples, and you would pass through and move along the line. So if you were going to a dance, if it wasn't a ball, I mean, if a ball is a different thing. I mean, you would have had to be of some disposable income to go to a ball, and you would wear your best jewelry. So you might wear jet, you might wear your cameo, whatever your piqué, whatever your biggest piece was. If you were just going out to do some shopping, going to buy some dress to make a new, fabric to make a new dress, or a bonnet, you would wear your best dress. You would have jewelry. You would have gloves. You wouldn't go outside without gloves on. You would have a hat. You wouldn't be seen without a hat. And you might wear your nicest jewelry, but not your most expensive jewelry.
You have a typical hat here?
I have a straw hat.
My name is Doug Nospish. I am from Manchester, Michigan. I am portraying a lower middle class gentleman at home in his house. I'm repairing some of my furniture and stuff.
And these are
the painted rug coverings that they would have been found in a lot of the homes in the 1860s as a decoration. And some might have a rag rugs, because no material was always had use at some point, from clothing all the way on down till it turned into a rag. So you used it, recycled it, so to speak, right down to the last little nubs or whatever you can get out of it.
That's neat.
I have here are what's called Gracies. You take a couple of sticks and a hoop that's been made to look pretty with ribbon, and what you do is to play the game, you'd have another partner, would have the same arrangement, two sticks, and as you pulled the sticks apart like this, it would fly off towards the other person, and then they would try and catch it, and you would end up playing catching the hoop, as that's what you do it on. And so it's like hand-eye coordination kind of stuff. It was that they would entertain themselves with.
A couple more toys here.
Yeah, there's some of the simpler toys for smaller children. Might be,
That's cute.
Just something that maybe a 1 or 2 or 3-year-old might entertain themselves with, kind of stuff, just to watch that kind of activity. There was
this is around the mid.
Jacob's ladder, if I can hold it correctly.
Oh, cool. Oh, look how neat is that? How about it?
Yeah, it's being uncooperative, but yeah. So that's how they would, some of the toys that they would have to do. So they'd have to do their chores first. If it were school time, they'd have to, make sure their homework or any kind of school work is done ahead of time, and then they would have some chance to do some kind of playing. So.
You have food and acid in there, which leads to bloating. Take a trocar into the stomach. Now comes the messy part of the job. Since there's 2 openings, one's up here, you get bone fluid to come in the throat, you plug the throat, and when you force everything out the rectum, plug the rectum. Come out, inject into the kidney, then turn around, inject into the lungs, make sure they have fluid. Now the person is completely preserved. There was around 20,000 soldiers receiving the bombing in the Civil War, out of 640,000 because of the cost. Any questions? The reason I have coin when Jimmy died, I had 2 of them, someone swiped the one. When people die, your eyelids will come open. It's not like TV where they go, or in the modern day, you see a TV, they're already closed. No, they're not.
Or they may be open just a tiny little bit.
There was no way of keeping the eyelids closed until about 1955. That's why they put coins on the eye.
Oh, really?
Today, they sell a plastic eye cup. We put in there and 1 drop of super glue and pull the eyelid shut.
Introduce yourself.
They did not smile. To hold a smile and stay perfectly still for 30 seconds is impossible. Yep.
Stomach bitters. Stomach bitters was principally alcohol. It might have a little cocaine in there, might have a little morphine in there, something, not much, but just enough to take the edge off of things. And of course, if you drank enough of it, you didn't have to worry about things for a while, all right? And lots of times, Mom would put this in the cavity of a turkey. She'd bake a turkey, and that's how it would get into camp, right? Or it might be in a medicine bottle such as this, right? So that's what this is. In fact,
did she hide it under her dress, her big dress?
No, the ladies did not. The ladies didn't go to camp. This was just sent. See, this was just sent to the soldiers. Right? There were very few ladies in camp, so they would not carry anything. Now, if you're interested in what's in the ladies, they've got it over here, and that's they're explaining the underwear and how ladies were dressed in the 1860s, as well as the ladies' jewelry.
All objects that somebody from 1863 could walk here today to this table and recognize it as by their name brand or by the logo. They have not changed that much. Now the packaging itself has. They had cans at the time, and they were soldered with lead, so that was, we found out later, that was a little dangerous, but that was the first cans were, and they were available. They were used in a short period of time. It was okay. Things like this would be in jars, canning jars, and we can them at home or can them in a factory. But everything here is readily available then as it is now. And like I said, someone could walk up and recognize any of these things here. Now, they did not have iodized salt. But if we had regular salt here today, it would all just come into a clump. Because the iodine in it helps to preserve it, helps to keep it from clumping and turning back into rock form.
Combat, and wanted to be on the right
chocolate. All this chocolate was available, and it was very expensive. It was a real treat for them to get, but it was available for them. Oysters, they loved oysters.
Who sent this to them?
Pardon?
The wife sent this to them? Who sent the supplies to the soldiers?
Well, that's what we talk about over here, and that would be the families, wife, parents. And in some cases, the local churches would get together and do several, or the whole town would have a group of people that would get together during the winter months and send to their soldiers. During the summer months when they were on maneuvers, they couldn't keep up with them. But in the winter months when they're in winter quarters, they could easily keep up with them. They knew where they were, and as long as they had the boxes labeled properly, it would go right to them.
They did oysters, huh?
Yeah, the oysters. Now, they would have been in a tin like that instead of in cardboard, but they would have been in a tin. So,
an entire community would get together.
They got it from the Chesapeake Bay, the oysters.
Pardon?
They got the oyster from the Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah.
Maybe some family would donate mittens.
And keep it up. It was in a field, just rusted when we found it. And they really didn't do much with it. They built this for the 100th anniversary of the Civil War. Wow. Chase and Sanborn Coffee Company.
That's so amazing.
And then the YMCA, which is appropriate because the Christian Commission came out of the YMCA during the war. So it's appropriate that they own it now.
The Christian Commission is made of Protestant and Catholic people?
Mainly Protestant, yeah. But, ministers and lay people too. So, yeah.
this version.
Take a look in here.
Can you open it?
A lot of stuff. This is Alan Farley. He's a chaplain. He passed away a few months back. This is all his baby here. Had the vision to do this. He talked about us and he said, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of work," but he said, "No, I want to do it," and he did.
It's in its chest. What's that noise?